All right, guys, welcome to episode 6 of the F1 My Life podcast with Cam and Priya.
Priya and Cam.
I'm your host, Cam, and this is Priya, your host
your
as well.
co-host.
And we're
Like
back
game
from
show.
Mexico.
Yes,
We had our last podcast in Mexico.
it was amazing. It was real. I did get a question about that, if it
the
was
background
real.
is real.
Yeah, and
no,
I'm
it was
like,
real.
Cam's great. Like, he's a great videographer. He's a great photographer. But,
Thanks.
we're not. It was so odd. It was so odd. I actually had someone ask me, they were like, was it real? And I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how we could make
People
that
can
up.
fake it.
You
These days
can?
on
We
Zoom,
don't have a
have you
green
seen
screen.
have you seen those Zoom calls where people fake it?
I have not been on Zoom calls.
Yeah,
so
you
I don't know.
can. Well, I guess.
Yeah, I don't understand that stuff.
Y-
I was invited
y-
to a Zoom call a couple of days ago and I missed it because I don't know how to use it.
Yeah, you can fake the background.
Yeah. So no, it wasn't fake. Our tans are also not fake, and nor was Cam's sunburn.
It's a way to put me on blast,
Yeah,
you know?
we've since recovered. It was good. But we got home just in time to watch Monaco Quali, which was so interesting.
Yeah.
You know, Charles taking pole
Quali.
in Monaco.
So Monaco happened. Azerbaijan is tomorrow. And I think we're going to start doing our podcast a little earlier. So
Yeah.
people aren't watching it like hours before the race.
Yep. So we're basically, our new thing, Cam and I were talking about it this morning after Quali, is he brought up a good point that because we generally do like a post-race
Yeah.
chit-chat.
It's more of a post-race than a pre-race.
Yeah.
It is kind of both, but like there's no point in doing it so late.
So for the three
The
people
week.
that watch us,
Yeah. We appreciate
we
y'all.
appreciate you guys.
But yeah, we're going to be doing like
Pretty soon after the race.
pretty earlier, so obviously people can, that's like more of our business though.
Yeah.
But
Well, in case people are wondering, so we're not really going to talk about the Azerbaijan Quali today, but tune in like 2
no,
days.
we are.
No, we won't.
We
'cause
we already watched it. Why not?
All right.
This is a the thing is, this is a post.
It's a Priya.
It's a post Monaco, pre Azerbaijan. So
Okay.
it's like if we're doing it today, we might as well talk about
All right.
Quali as well because we watched it, right?
It was
so
amazing. Although
so I
Cam
guess
and I would have to sleep.
to start with Monaco, I don't know how our predictions went.
They
I
were
would have to
decent.
run it
I would
back.
have to go back. It was a very
I think
crazy
I
time.
predicted Charles Leclerc obviously to be in the running,
I did.
but he didn't make it. Obviously,
I predicted Sainz. I didn't predict Charles. I predicted Sainz.
do you have the results here?
Yeah, I have the results
So
here.
Verstappen, Sainz, Norris.
There was a cool. Okay, before we go to the podium.
Yeah.
Let's start with like Quali was amazing. I mean, like obviously the not king of Monaco, but he's like he's not. I don't want to call him the Prince of Monaco either because there's actually a Prince of Monaco. I found that out. But like Charles lives in Monaco and everybody really wanted him to win, and so having him on pole was a big deal, especially.
Well, he's from there.
Well, but he's
All
never
the things
done
they say,
well.
king, prince, whatever, is just the commentator saying their stuff. But he's a local. That's his like local Grand Prix
Yeah,
in Monaco.
that's why everyone makes like a big stink whenever it's
But
in London.
they were calling Verstappen the king of. Well, I mean, they're just the king of Monaco.
King of
But
Monaco.
the British are so like extra with
Yeah.
all that stuff, you know.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
That's just like a nice amount of your
What
audience.
else, you know?
No, but it was a big deal because okay, so it wasn't just a big deal, and I mentioned this in the last episode too. Is Charles has notoriously not done well in Monaco.
Monaco, yeah, that's true.
He's done
Has he
poorly.
finished the race?
I don't know in his career if he's finished a race, but I know in the last 2 years of it being in Monaco,
Yeah.
didn't do well. 2020, I don't know if we had it. I don't think we had it. No, we didn't have a 2020 in Monaco.
No.
So 2019, I believe 2018 as well, but somebody checked me on 2018. But 2019, he put it in a wall. We got a lot of that happening today, people putting things in walls.
Yeah. Azerbaijan Quali, yeah. That was bad.
But I think the big takeaway from Quali 2020 or 2021 at Monaco was simply that Charles red flagged the session by putting it in the wall. He was on pole, provisional pole at that time, and that significantly changed the course of Verstappen and Sainz races.
Yeah.
impact. Like they were the most ticked off.
Verstappen was pissed. If you see, like I was sharing those memes with you or whatever, or the videos. I think even the F1 Instagram posted it. He was so pissed. He was swearing so much. But I mean, I think because he knew the way his quali was going with the sectors, I think he was looking at pole at that point.
He was. Well, everybody and their mother can always say, I was going to be on pole.
So I pulled up these are the poll results, and this is the actual results, just for our reference.
Oh, okay. So everybody and their mother always thinks that they're going to be on pole if they just had another lap or they had another tweak or another outlap or whatever it is. But I really believed Sainz and Verstappen when they said that they both truly thought that they were going to be on a flying lap that was going to put them on pole.
I think they were putting in good laps.
They were putting in amazing laps. Sainz was, doing a great job. He actually, qualified obviously in 4th. But as luck would have it, when Charles put it in the wall, there was significant damage done to the car.
So Charles put it in the wall, and they, long story short, but they weren't able to repair the car in time for the race, so he was just out. He was technically on pole.
It's not that they weren't able to repair the car. What happened is that
Why am I misremembering?
So that was the whole thing. So let me explain this. So he was the one where we were checking our phones, seeing, everyone kept saying, I'm sure there's a problem with the gearbox. The announcers were saying, I'm sure there's a problem with the gearbox because of the way that he suffered the damage into the wall. But what Ferrari did is they did a preliminary check, and I'm sure they did whatever checks.
No, you're right.
And then he was on the...
Yeah, when they loaded it up, when he essentially started up the car and tried to get it to go, the gearbox was just not functioning.
It was on the outlap before formation. No,
I don't even think he got an outlap.
No, they were doing laps before the formation lap. So he goes, oh no, the car, and that's when he stopped, and that was the whole big iconic thing.
So I guess they didn't want to take a look at the gearbox right away, but that ended up being, I don't know if it was that or something else, but something mechanically didn't work. I don't know. I think they said it was the drive shaft.
Left drive shaft.
Or they thought it was the gearbox, but it didn't work out for him, and it wasn't even a DNF. It was he didn't even start the race. Yeah. So technically, Verstappen was pissed, but he ended up
karma is karma,
making it onto, I guess, pole kind of.
But
it's not really,
it's not technically in his belt.
There's no one in front of him, but he was the leader of the grid starting off. So in Monaco, that's so important,
because
whoever, because it's a street circuit and there's not as much passing, it's really hard to obviously pass. So for Verstappen, it's being on pole is a huge big deal. And then you had Bottas behind him. Sainz, sucks for him because he could have gotten with Charles crashing and everything, it screwed up his quali lap. Norris, Gasly, and then we have Hamilton in 7th, right? Mm-hmm. Bottas out-qualified him, which is kind of insane. Remember when they were doing practice, and I always say this when they're doing practices, I feel like Mercedes sometimes, when they're doing practice in P3, I feel like they hold back a little bit, and then P2, sometimes they're not as racy, and then P1 you can usually see their true performance, and then qualifying is where they...
No, you mean P1, P2, P3. P3's last.
P3's last, sorry, in reverse. So that's usually, on the last practice is usually when you see their true performance, but they weren't doing that well, and it showed in quali. I mean, Bottas out-qualified Hamilton.
By 4 places.
By a ton of places, which is kind of weird. So it was weird.
Initially, before I saw Azerbaijan quali, I would say, or before I saw Monaco actual race, I'd say, well, was that the red flag? Because at the end of the day, when you red flag a session, it halts everybody else in Q3, right? You are stuck in those positions. That is it. Done.
Yeah.
So a part of me at first thought, well, Hamilton didn't get a chance to do his complete lap. So I gave him that benefit of the doubt that maybe he just didn't get his lap in.
Yeah.
However, and without just jumping into Azerbaijan quali, because I know that can get confusing, Hamilton does not do well in street races at all.
Street circuits.
He just does not do well. It's evident in everything we're seeing in the last 2 races.
Yeah.
The last 2 qualifications and last race.
So fast forward here without getting into the race itself, but Hamilton did not do well in Azerbaijan either. And it wasn't due to red flags. He just did not qualify.
Oh, he
well.
Did.
Hamilton?
He qualified in second today in Azerbaijan. Yeah, you're
But
thinking of Bottas in 10th.
He was struggling.
He got a toe.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
In practice, they were struggling. In Q1, he was struggling. In Q2, he was struggling, and then he just made it up. I believe it was to fourth.
You're right. But he did get a toe.
He got a toe from Bottas, who ended up in P10, which I think is ridiculous. Probably changes now with Lando. But regardless, in Monaco itself, I get so passionate about this race. He struggled, and I think that's so pivotal because it brings back what we talk about with who is a better driver. And I know everybody says all of the world championships for Lewis, and I get it, and I used to be like on that boat 100% of the time, but Max killed it. Like, Max kills it without toes. He kills it without red flags, with red flags. I mean, he's consistently in the top 3 unless something outrageous happens. Touch wood, that doesn't happen.
But let's say, like, with all that said, Lewis was complaining, and this is the thing we were kind of talking about, is like, okay, yeah, when you have a circuit like Monaco, which is all like turns and hitting your apexes and getting like the exits out of the turns like as quickly as you can, taking like the right line for driving, like the fastest line, that's so important in a circuit like Monaco because you don't have, I think you have maybe a couple DRS
2
like areas where you can use DRS, but majority of it is you just have to get through the turns as efficiently as possible. And I don't know what it really is because, like, you can sit here and you can say that Hamilton, like, because there's always the argument of like driver skill versus the car itself. And I just find it weird that when Hamilton didn't do as well as he would have liked to here in Monaco, he's like on the radio yelling at his engineers and saying the car wasn't there and da-da-da. And even in what he changed his tune very quickly, but initially after Quali happened and everything, he was just like so pissed and he's like, yeah, I don't know what these guys are doing in the garage, like what the like da-da-da with the
he's
car.
He's like, we're gonna figure it out and there's gonna be some tough decisions.
He was like pissed at like the mechanics of the car. And then he very quickly changed his tune, like right after when I guess he cooled down, talked to everybody. He was just like, yeah, you know, like we just got to figure it out and this and that and da-da-da. But the thing that pisses me off is like, and a lot of people give me crap for like saying this and that about Lewis Hamilton and the car and everything, but it's so apparent with him himself. When he doesn't do well, he's blaming the car, right? And when he does do well, it's like, yeah, he's a great driver and this and that. And like, yeah, the car helps, da-da-da. But I feel like it's so apparent when a driver doesn't do well, what they say. And what he was saying is like, oh, it's the car, it's the car, it's the car. So you're saying like, okay, yeah, the car wasn't there for you. That's why you didn't do as well. Yeah. Like you're kind of proving the point of what everybody else is saying, you know? Because it's like no one else, like, the Ferraris are struggling. The Red Bulls are not as strong as the Mercedes, but they can still put up numbers. So it's like, is it driver skill or car? And people don't like. I know people hate hearing that. That it's like, oh, you're saying Lewis Hamilton. I'm not saying anything. I realistically, I don't know, but like, I feel like when it comes down to driver skill, like he was, quite honestly. I mean, if I look at it here, like in Monaco, he was outperformed by so many other drivers, like Gasly. Like Gasly put up better numbers than like what is all that about?
I mean, Gasly's amazing. We shouldn't, that's discounting Gasly then. It's discounting any driver who does do better than him.
But how often does Gasly out-qualify Hamilton?
But that's what I'm saying, that your point, I made the same point, your point of driver skills does need to be question. And I know everybody's like, well, put someone else in a Mercedes and see what happens.
They do, yeah.
Yeah, so put Max in a Mercedes and see what the heck happens.
I mean, they put George Russell in a Mercedes, and we saw how that went.
I mean, he went amazing until
the
Mercedes
team sabotaged him.
So speaking on those
until they pulled a Bottas on him.
So speaking of that, so I loved the start of so soon.
They pulled.
still hurts
Hey,
me.
they pulled a Bottas on George Russell.
Actually,
you know.
Actually, before we move on to that, so when you talk about like what a driver says, Bottas could have said, "I hate the engineers, I hate the team, I hate everybody," after his horrific pit stop.
I don't even know if you consider that a pit stop.
It never started again. So it's a pit. You pitted and you didn't stop pitting. But what I'm saying is he's been screwed over by horrific pit stops so much, but yet his kind of thing is like, well, it's a day it happened and it stinks and we move forward from it. And I think that it's obviously different personalities, or when someone puts it in a wall, it's like, yeah, that was my fault. I do not hear from Hamilton very often that he makes a mistake.
He doesn't though. That's the thing.
He said it once.
Yeah, he made a mistake once.
Yeah.
Recently, but
with all of that being said, this isn't to take away from Hamilton. He is obviously a very skilled driver. He's won numerous championships, but it's just to say that this is the first season I'm watching in 3 years worth of seasons that I've watched that I'm seeing the divide more consistently than I did before. I used to think, well, Max is just on the edge, and I'm seeing him edge Hamilton out more consistently now, which is exciting to see. It's what we want to see in the sport. Yeah. I guess the biggest, for lack of a better word, the biggest crapshoot I've seen in a while, again in a Mercedes garage, is that they botched Bottas's pit stop. He was ahead of Hamilton, right? So there's very few chances, like Cam said, to actually pass anyone in Monaco. But Bottas started what? It was second. He started second on the grid.
Yeah.
After Leclerc was
after
do not start.
Yeah.
So he got a great start. He was doing a consistent race. Gets into the garage. They do the pit stop. And they can't get the gun off the wheel.
No, the wheel nut.
The wheel nut.
So what do you attribute that to? Because I haven't really read too much about why that happened the way it did. Is that due to...
I already know your theory.
Is that due to the guy not like taking the wheel off because what happened essentially is when they use the gun to take the wheel off, it grips onto the nut. It has it slots in a specific way so that it can take it off. But if you ever experience this with a screwdriver or something, if the bit that you use to take the screw off is too big or too small, it can just shred the actual screw itself. That's essentially what happened when they tried to take his tire off. And a lot of the time, that's just user error. In this case, it's the wheel nut and the wheel gun that they use, it's fit perfectly, mm-hmm. right? So was it that the wheel nut was just not manufactured incorrectly?
I believe it was that.
You think so?
I think so. I think that's what ended up happening.
Because I
know your
one out of how many pit stops do these guys do? How many races are there? How many drivers? And the thing is is it that you just have a melon of a wheel nut? Or, which I think is more likely, did the pit stop guy who was taking the wheel thing off, did he not push it in fully and completely just shred the wheel nut?
So the thing is I understand your issue with the Bottas's botched pit stops persistently. I get that. But I think you can't just blanket statement that every time there's an issue that it's going to be because they're trying to sabotage Bottas or they're not.
I didn't say that though.
They're not.
I'm just trying to figure out what happened.
They're not as on it with Bottas. I know that and I get it and I do understand that.
I'm just
I feel
trying
that you're
to figure
correct.
it out. I just want some answers, bro.
I mean, it took 43 freaking hours for them to get it off. I think it was a problem with the wheel gun. I think it was that. I don't think it was that the wheel gun.
It shredded the wheel nut. It shredded the So the wheel gun was working. It wasn't the wheel gun. It was the nut. The nut itself. They completely they weren't able to get it off after they shredded it. Right? They had to take a Dremel tool and then actually cut the wheel nut and then peel it off that way. That's how they got the wheel off.
The company line is always going to be. As a matter of fact, the mechanic that did it is one of the best, one of the fittest in terms of pit stop speed that the team has. It's never someone's fault. It's always multifaceted. I feel like Toto is like this like master puppeteer guy who like doesn't let anyone know what's truly going on at Mercedes, which is great and also just like so frustrating. I looked into it quite a bit. You're right. It could have happened. It could have been the wheel nut. It could have been the gun. It could have been that they didn't put the gun on properly. All I know is that when it takes going back to the actual garage to take the wheel nut off and get the wheel off itself, that's a problem. And it was a catastrophic failure for Mercedes.
Yeah.
So it did eliminate Bottas's entire race. And I feel like, again, he gets the short end of the stick. He should have been on the... And comment, he pitted second, which, do you remember this? I was like yelling.
Who?
Bottas. So it ticked me off because Hamilton's pit stop went off without a hitch. It was an amazing pit stop. It was sub threes. And I think it was like 2.3 or 2.2.
Yeah.
And then Bottas got the next pit stop. And I feel that if you're ahead... So if you're in P2, P3, and the other person's in P7, and you're not, you should be on the number one plan A strategy if you're the person ahead of the other Mercedes.
Yeah.
But I feel like this always happens. And maybe he was on the right strategy, but it was just a problem with the pit lane. But it ticks me off that Lewis had such a great pit stop. And then... Bottas again got screwed.
So this is what I just Googled. This is the wheel gun. This is the, I guess, essentially the bit that they have to take. And you can see it. So if anyone can't see it, if you Google it, just F1 like wheel gun, you can see them. It's a bunch of different, it's a circle, obviously, and it's a bunch of different teeth around that circle. And the reason why you have multiple teeth is just simple mechanics, is like there's more... like grip there, so it can grip in and take it off. So even if one fails, right? Even if one of those fails and slips off, the rest of them should be able to, get the grip on the nut and pull it off. So what I'm thinking, based on how this is designed and how it's meant to go on, I would assume that the guy who actually was doing the pit stop and changing the tire and pulling the nut off didn't get proper contact onto the wheel nut. Because if you pull it back a little bit, you can shred the whole thing. These things are super powerful, right? So you can shred the whole thing. So I'm assuming that's probably what happened. So
everyone can make a mistake, but all I'm saying is that...
It just sucks for him, man.
It does. It sucks for him because that is 25 points that he misses out on. Or realistically, 18 points that he missed out on.
Yeah.
Because he could have very well been P2.
Yeah.
He was driving an adequate race. Once you're in the front in Monaco, you just got to stay in front and you got to hope and pray that there's not a safety car, which, shock out of shocks, there was not a safety car, although there had been one for, I think, 5 years. Every year for the last 5 years, which is crazy. So there was no safety car in this race. So Bottas is out, and we're all focused on Hamilton, who they pitted early despite... any of us understand.
He was complaining. He got out. I think I don't know if they maybe fumbled the pit stop strategy a little bit.
They did.
He got out behind a few guys. He was really pissed about that.
Sorry, not Perez. He got out behind Gasly. So what ended up happening is he pitted, and it was kind of a mess. He pitted, and he's like, how am I still behind Gasly?
Yeah.
And then they were trying to break him the news. This was hysterical, multiple times, that he was going to actually continue to slide back because then Perez was in, I think, the P1 position. He really needed to come in and pit. And then he ended up, I think, in P4, also ahead of Hamilton. And it was a series of unfortunate events, but Hamilton was losing it on the radio, having tantrums.
Man. Yeah.
But all of that aside, I think that, obviously, as you know, the race results were Verstappen, Sainz, and Norris.
Yeah.
Norris, come on, give us a little bit of like.
Norris is putting in work, man. He's he's being really consistent. It's interesting. We're seeing like Sainz, Leclerc, and Norris up in like the top 5 quite consistently this year, which is like really exciting.
And I mean, you know, Perez is really starting to find his stride. He was P4 in Monaco.
Yeah.
He did exactly what he should be doing, which is being in the top 4. You know, you always think that the Silver Arrows and Red Bull should be in the top 4, but I personally feel that the way that he drives is he can get the most out of his tires. He can Perez.
Yeah.
He gets it's like he's like the Hail Mary guy. Like he can I love watching him race because he's so I don't want to use the word thrifty, but I can't think of another word. Like when there's a tough situation, he can come back from it.
Yeah.
He's consistently the comeback kid.
I mean, that's what he did with Racing Point. Remember, he battled all the way back. I don't know. I can't even remember how far back he was. He was so
18,
far back.
P18.
And he came all the way back up to a podium position, which was such a crazy story for him.
He's the comeback kid, and and then, you know, like Sainz is consistently putting in work.
The Ferraris are they're showing like they got performance. They got it back this year, you know, after the whole thing with what they were doing. Like they got it back, which is like really crazy to see. But I mean, Monaco as a whole, it was great. It was a good race. It was entertaining.
No rain, thank God.
No rain, no safety car.
No safety car.
That's usually they usually historically have safety cars there. No safety cars this time. And we finished out the race with, well, actually, these are Quali results.
Verstappen, Sainz, Norris on the podium, which was amazing to see the 3 of them up there. We have to get to Daniel Ricciardo, which I'm going to talk about soon. Perez, Vettel, that was amazing. Vettel and Gasly went wheel to wheel, and Vettel kicked his butt.
But they cut away. Do you remember that? They cut away on the thing. I saw so many memes about that when they cut away from that. That was like the one part of the race that was like exciting racing where you don't really see like wheel to wheel passing on Monaco.
You don't.
And they like cut away and showed like Stroll jumping over some kind of barrier or something, or the curb or something. That was so stupid. Verstappen, Sainz, Norris, Perez, Vettel, Gasly, and then Hamilton in 7th, Stroll in 8th, Ocon, and then you got your usual suspects minus
Giovinazzi.
No, Ricciardo in 12th.
Okay, but quickly, Giovinazzi.
What about Giovinazzi?
Killed it.
In 10th,
yeah, he got a
point.
In 10th.
Yeah,
he got a point.
I suppose Raikkonen to 11th, man. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
he didn't get points, but like
points, so.
They're usually like way on the bottom.
Sundays are for points.
Yeah.
Saturdays you show up. So, what is it? Oh, that's what the excuse everybody gives when they don't like perform on Saturday. They're like, Saturday's just quali, like Sunday's for the points.
Points, yeah.
But it's true. It is true. But Giovinazzi killed it, man. I was so proud of him.
Yeah, I mean for Alfa Romeo.
But Ricciardo.
Your boy Ricciardo, what's good?
I said it earlier and I say it today again, and I hate to say this.
He's fallen out of it.
I think Daniel Ricciardo is. I'd love to meet him. I would love to be friends with him. I would love to definitely like chat with him about life. But I am not seeing him as a competitive driver. I think he's falling out of F1 a little bit. And you know, I hate to say that just based on 2 races. I'm not. He's not doing well.
Yeah.
P12.
Yeah, that was. I mean, for him, that's kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, it's uncharacteristic of Danny, especially like given Norris finished in a podium spot. Like
can't compare.
Your car is there. Like the car is there. The other driver is out qualifying you, out racing you. Maybe he's lost. I mean, but then again, he went from like team to team. Like
whose choice was that?
It was his, obviously, but I mean, Norris has been with McLaren for a minute, and he's going to continue to be there because he signed that deal. So, and even, you know, Daniel was just like, you know, this is one of those races that you just want to forget. And it's unfortunate because in Azerbaijan, we're not going to see him at all because he ended up crashing in qualify. I mean,
we're
we're not
gonna see
gonna.
him.
Sorry, I reiterate. Like, we're not. We didn't really see like what he could do in quali because he ended up like crashing the
in
car.
Q2.
I think obviously, hopefully, if they repair and everything, he'll be able to make it to the race, which I'm sure he will. But you know, again, with Azerbaijan being like a street circuit, you don't see as much passing there. So
All you're gonna see is Norris passing Daniel Ricciardo again, like he did on his Monaco tour.
yeah.
Everybody took that to such poo too. They were like, Norris is just being cocky, or he's being belittling, and it was just, I think
and then you were telling me something about how he's like, he always waves to people.
He does.
When they let him pass or something like that.
It's like when you're driving on the road and you give someone way, and you're stopping and you're giving someone way, they wave at you and they say like thank you because you're doing the right thing, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And Norris made a statement about this: when somebody moves aside during blue flags, which is what you're supposed to do, you're lapping that driver, they move aside, he waves. He is he's acknowledging them, okay? So, and you have to also remember, like, Norris is like a little kid at the end of the day. He's a young man.
Yeah.
He is known for being like waving at people and doing all that. Like, he's like has a twitch and stuff. Like, he is.
That was kind of
right?
just a non.
I know,
It was
but
just
people
stupid.
made
I think
such dumb about it.
Yeah.
Like, everyone was joking, in like the next Netflix season, you're gonna see that like him and Daniel Ricciardo are on the outs, just like you saw that Lando Norris and Sainz apparently like had this huge issue, but they didn't, because it's just entertainment.
Netflix needs to like
chill
on how they're portraying these drivers, because I get it. I mean, F1 doesn't need that. They don't need all that drama.
There's drama enough.
The driving the race is enough, and everything that goes on is enough. You don't have to make up these fake stories and fake narratives. And everyone who knows F1 was like totally making fun of how they overplayed like the science Lando like thing and It's like, it's so stupid.
It's apparent to anybody who watches the post-race, the race, the quali, post-quali.
It's apparent to anyone who watches F1 and follows it closely. It's like, that's not how things are, but they gotta, because like Verstappen didn't want to appear in the show.
Yeah,
it's like if they keep doing that kind of stuff, you're gonna see more and more drivers being like,
nope.
Yeah, we don't like how you guys are like editing us and showing us, and it's not accurate. So
peace out.
We're not gonna
participate.
we're not gonna do interviews. We're not gonna be part of the show. So they need to get that shit like really.
I think Lando actually commented that he's gonna take a bit of a step back in social media because he felt that a lot of his actions were being over criticized. At the end of the day, I made a statement today to Cam that I truly think that we're going to see Norris become a world champion. I think he's in the right place at the right time with the right team, doing the right amounts of development. He's at that right
It's a hell of a statement, dude.
I know. You heard it here first.
Hell of a statement.
And I mean, I don't think it's going to be this year, but I do think in the years to come, we're going to see him rise to the top.
Yeah.
But we also have to remember he is young. He's got that youth in him. He's not yet that matured driver, like Sainz and Ricciardo. But again, he is out qualifying these guys.
He's doing well.
Day in and day out.
He's doing well. I mean,
which is amazing to see.
Yeah, let's see him. He's got a couple podiums now. It's just a shame that Daniel isn't up in those numbers with him, but he still has the rest of the season, and I'm curious to see how he does.
He does, but my money is not on him returning to F1 at the caliber that he was with Red Bull, or even that he was with Renault. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think definitely.
I want to see this whole season play out with him to kind of
I do. I mean, he really came into his own in Renault second year.
Yeah.
He did. He was making podiums. He made podiums, I believe it was twice. And he was doing well with the car, and whether it's you can say that all the cars are different. Of course they are. It's why certain drivers take time to get there. It's why we gave Perez that amount of leniency too, to say, hey, listen, like you just need to develop in the car.
But you can't really judge Daniel on, these are two street circuits,
He's apparently supposed to be good at them though.
Yeah, I mean,
winner of Monaco.
Anything can happen to anybody, but like, he's shown that he's able to perform in other circuits. So I mean,
let's see how he does.
I think we got to give him another like 3 races to kind of just see if he's crap in the next like 3 races. Then it's like, okay, yeah, maybe this is just something's not right. You know, it's not coming together.
What I will say though is that one thing that warmed my heart is Vettel. Vettel up in P5. I mean, the last time we saw that was like 2018.
Yeah. Was this on Monaco?
2018, yeah, Monaco.
P5, yeah.
He finished in 5th. It was so amazing to see that.
Yeah.
Because Vettel, I was starting to worry, had really dropped down. He is, I mean...
It's one race, though.
I mean,
all the other races he hasn't been doing well. I'm sorry, did I just like take this wind out of your sails there? You just looked at me like, well, yeah, I guess. No, it is true. It is just one race. I mean,
he's nice to children, okay? Just
you look.
Just get off my back.
Yeah, that's great, but drive quicker. You know, be nice to those kids.
I'm sorry. Who's a world champion? Daniel? Oh, we're gonna give him a couple more races versus Vettel, who's won championships.
So, I mean, if we look at,
I literally feel like you knocked the wind out of my sails.
Did you want to talk about anybody else on Monaco, or should we just jump to Azerbaijan?
No, I wanted to talk about it a little bit more. Thank you. So I was impressed with Mick Schumacher at the beginning of the race because he passed Mazepin. Mazepin didn't.
You're on this Mick Schumacher train,
You know what,
dude.
Hummel? Because nobody
You got your
talks.
ticket, you got your baggage, and you hopped on the train.
I'm on train Mick.
Just riding that Mick
I
Schumacher
want to
train.
see him do well, but more than that, I think that people forget about everyone except for the top 10, and that's not F1. These 20 gentlemen are the current top racers. You have to remember that there are people that develop, right? You can't forget about Russell. You can't forget about Latifi. You're about to see Tsunoda qualify. I mean, he literally in Azerbaijan, you saw him make the top 10. So you can't forget about these young drivers because, frankly, they're what's coming up when Alonso retires again and Hamilton leaves the sport and Ricciardo ultimately has his demise. It's in the sport. It's literally what's going to happen, or when Kimi finally, retires. So Mick did an amazing job, but then unfortunately Mazepin ended up passing him, or I think there was an arrangement where he had to give up his position because he wasn't maintaining speed.
Yeah.
Tsunoda had a mental breakdown in the race.
Oh yeah.
He pulled a Max Verstappen after the Leclerc crash.
Yeah.
But for 73 laps.
Yeah.
It was terrifying. So yeah, that was Monaco. It was exactly what I wanted. I wanted it to be based on the driving. No
minus
drama.
Charles Leclerc smashing into the wall.
I mean, that was the one bit of drama.
Fast forward to Azerbaijan Quali, which we watched this morning. Redemption for Charlie Leclerc.
Pull up the Quali results, please.
We got
Charlie Leclerc.
Yeah, I like calling him by different
name.
names. Charlie Leclerc. And so he qualified and didn't put it into the wall in first, which is a nice little redemption for the kid.
And he was one of few people who didn't put it in the wall.
Yeah, followed by Hamilton in second, pulled it out, I don't know from where.
We know from where.
Verstappen in third, oh yeah, he got the toe, yeah, we were talking about that. Verstappen in third, Gasly in fourth, which is so interesting, Sainz in fifth, Norris in sixth, Perez seventh, followed by Tsunoda, Fernando Alonso, Valtteri Bottas, and then kind of your usual suspects. It's very similar to Monaco, Ricciardo in 13th, and then your Raikkonen, Mazepin, Stroll, Giovinazzi.
Don't brush them off like they're nothing.
Although Stroll and Giovinazzi both threw it into the wall.
Well, and they're all
in Quali.
Stroll, Giovinazzi, Ricciardo.
Yeah, Ricciardo's out too. Yeah.
And who else
he crashed
put it in the wall?
in yeah.
Who else put it in the wall? Giovinazzi, Stroll, Ricciardo, and there was another person.
Was there somebody else?
Who else did?
No, I'm thinking Leclerc put it in the wall. I think during practice or something.
Maybe he likes to put things in walls.
Yeah, there were a lot of crashes there. Ricciardo crashing in Quali sucked to see, man. But we can't discount Ricciardo because Yeah, okay, yeah. Putting it in the wall is obviously a big part of racing. Like, you obviously don't want to crash your car into a wall. But had he not done that, who knows where we would have seen him, here in Azerbaijan. But
He's decent at true. I mean, he's like that nitty gritty driver, Daniel Ricciardo. He's a
Yeah.
nitty gritty driver. He gets those little quirkies, and he's got his little things. Like it makes him a good street driver. You know what I mean? But he's just not. He made a mistake, and he owned up to it. Unlike some people that we know, and didn't talk about it in the team or anything like that. I think Daniel Ricciardo is becoming disheartened, and I think people are becoming disheartened for him.
Yeah.
But I will not beat a dead horse on that. I feel bad for it. I love him. I think he's a great driver. I just don't think that he is in the top contention for championships right now, unless he pulls it around or turns it around.
Yeah.
But it was it was a very interesting, it was turn 15. It was turn 15 that just everybody decided to put it in the wall. It was like 15 comes around, everyone's like, oh, I got to put it in that wall.
Azerbaijan has a couple of those turns where it's just like, you never know what can really happen.
Anything can happen.
But you have those turns in that race. Like, it is what it is.
It's really what makes it a street race. Street races are those nitty gritty, dirty races that I love. They're not these fanfare like Dubai, or it's not like not Dubai, not like France, or not like
or any of those other ones.
It's not like them.
I just got to change the battery in the camera.
That's fine.
You just keep
I'm
going.
talking to
Yeah, keep going.
So I get so excited about street races, man. I want to go to Monaco and Azerbaijan. So I get really excited when I see, people like Gasly, on his own accord, pulling it out of his butt and getting in P4, was it? Yeah, it was P4. He's consistently coming back. Or we had Yuki Tsunoda, who decided to really show up in Quali today, and I felt like that was pretty amazing to see. Despite the fact that Cam doesn't like to talk about people below the 10th belt, which I don't think is very nice. How do you find the race results for Quali? Oh, I see them. So I could do this whole thing by myself right now. It's just not as fun. I was saying that Gasly really just pulled it out of his butt with that P4, and on his own accord too.
Yeah.
But you talked about Norris in P6. Cam's literally running away from me. It's not nice. I don't like this. He was in P6 when it came to Q3. But interestingly enough, due to red flag penalty or infringements with the red flag, Norris got a 3-grid penalty. 3 grid. That's huge. Did you know that normally when there's a red flag penalty, it's a 5-grid position penalty?
Really?
Did you know that?
No.
It's crazy. But they said because the driver had very minimal time to make that decision, they were, I think, a little bit more lenient on them.
I talk about AlphaTauri all the time.
You only talk about Pierre. You don't talk about Tsunoda. But anyways, unfortunately, what ended up happening is that I was going to say that Cam got a grid penalty. You are an F1 driver now. You are a Formula 1 driver. No, Norris is going from P6 to P9, which is going to elevate Perez to P6 and Tsunoda to P7.
Yeah.
Huge thing.
Yeah.
Huge thing.
Yeah. Grid penalties are not fun.
No, they're not. But he got lucky. Norris got lucky because usually it's a 3-grid or 5-grid penalty.
Yeah.
And today it was only a 3-position penalty.
But I mean, they were saying, what happened was, let me just get this right. Yeah, what they were saying is it was a weird situation because I think they said that he didn't have enough time to react. But he still broke the rules. I get why they did what they did because it's kind of like zero tolerance. If you're speeding or you do certain things or what's a red flag, you do have to come into the pits, and it's hard to judge I didn't have enough time to react. So
But
I
he's
get
fed
it.
up.
They can't. Yeah, but they can't give him like absolutely. He was going to get penalized for that period.
Yeah, but he's and you know the reason he got penalized? He's fed up.
I think it was just kind of reactionary. Like everything was kind of happening. I mean, but then again, it's like if you see flags of any color, the instinct is to slow down, not to speed up. I don't know why you would.
He's a young kid.
You
He's
know,
still learning.
He's a race car driver at the end of the day.
Yeah,
right?
and then he
Like,
got points on his license.
Yeah, I think anytime you do anything like that, they take points off.
I think he's got 8 points on his license right now. He needs to be careful because he's going to get a 1 race ban if he makes another mistake.
Yeah.
So Norris is hit down to P9, which, like I said, elevates Alonso, Tsunoda, and Perez. Bottas is in 10th.
Yeah.
I am ticked AF about this.
What?
He gives Hamilton a toe, which is, it's literally, again, like my sister's keeper. It's literally like he is spare parts for Hamilton. When Hamilton needs a boost, it's like he's there to lift him up. When Hamilton needs somebody to not be on his butt in the race, Bottas slows him down. It's my sister's keeper. You need to read the book or watch the movie. I'm serious. It's ridiculous. It's like bone marrow. Bottas is there for that.
Yeah.
You need a liver, he's got your spare parts.
Yeah.
He needs to take a crappy pit stop for you, Bottas is your guy. Like
Bottas is your guy. You sound like a cheesy infomercial.
it is. And so frustrating though, because he had this horrific pit stop and he's starting P10 on a street course.
Mm-hmm.
And who gets, the golden child gets to be up in P2. And you could see though, like I'm like yelling at people.
He put it there himself, he just
pick a side, Cam.
Yeah, it kind of is what it is.
He looked so relieved on the TV. You saw him. He was like, ooh, like good job, guys. Like we put in the work, because he was shocked to bits that he was in P2.
He ain't gonna have the support though, man. Like I'm so hyped to see Verstappen hunt him down. Oh man, but let's look at the actual, because the starts of the races themselves. I don't know if we can pull up is there a little map or something? There is. Yeah, the circuit. So when they start off, is it a straight? Yes, it is.
It's always a straight.
But it's going the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you go this way and then you do, right? You're going this way and then you're doing all.
It's like a box and then an octagon, or no, a pentagon.
Yeah. So I mean, when you're in second or third, when you're in third, because you get the slipstream behind the other guy, it's very advantageous. But in this case, with Verstappen is what, in second?
Mm-hmm. He's P3.
Is he P3?
It's Leclerc, Hamilton, Verstappen.
Oh, true. So, I mean, but because it's not as long of a straight, I don't think he's going to really see the advantages of that. We'll see, though. Because Verstappen, I love when he's in those positions, man, when he's an underdog.
Yeah.
And his race starts, man, I get so jacked watching Verstappen on his race starts. He is so good.
Look at Monaco, though, even. Bottas got a better takeaway from him, but he edged him out. He was like going at it, and he not like he
he's
didn't get
so fun to watch.
penalty or anything. But
I love
he
watching
literally
Verstappen.
Like Bottas got the better start,
yeah,
and Verstappen still got P2.
He's such a tenacious, entertaining, like aggressive driver. I love his style of racing. It's
amazing. He's very tenacious, but he's learned. We've talked about this. He's learned when to reel it back in.
Yeah, he's learned a lot of patience, I think.
Can't get him on this lap. We can get him within this laps, and that's the test of a good driver. And I know Hamilton does that sometimes, but when he's in his tantrums, he forgets like how to.
I'm excited for Charles though. I want to see him do very well. Yeah, I want to see him get a podium.
Yeah, but I don't want to see him in P1,
like as a winner. Why?
I want Verstappen to win the championship. I want Verstappen to win the championship this year. He is ahead of Hamilton. This is a huge thing. I took a screenshot of it last week because I was so excited.
Yeah.
He's ahead, not by a lot, by I think 5 points or a point maybe in the championship.
Yeah. Right now, Verstappen is in the Drivers' Championship. Verstappen is first in 105. Hamilton is 101. Lando Norris is 56. Charles Leclerc is 40. Right. So if he wins a race, he gets 25. Mm-hmm. Right, and I don't think the first place guy gets the fastest lap. It's usually somebody else who's
Where's Bottas?
willing to switch tires and then get the fastest lap.
Where's Bottas?
Bottas is
Fourth.
fourth and 47. But let's say Charles Leclerc wins tomorrow, that puts him up to 65, which puts him in third. He'll bump Norris down and he'll be under Hamilton. But man, no, I feel you though. It would be, imagine how much Mercedes would freak out if Verstappen started pulling away in the Drivers' Championship. They would flip out. And I don't know what that does. I mean, constructors wise, Red Bull, yeah, they're winning by 1 point as well. It just
It would be crazy. It would be crazy. Can't every time it's Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen.
Yeah.
Hamilton, Bottas,
I like
Verstappen.
that it's getting mixed up. But, let's throw Ferrari into that mix too. Why not? Let's mix it up a little bit.
Sure. You're just really mixing the pie.
Mix her up.
I have realistic dreams. Your dreams are like...
I dream big.
You dream big.
Whoa, dream big.
Yeah, it's a song.
Yeah.
I really shouldn't be singing on this. Just cut that out.
What?
My songs that I sing.
You sing your songs, dude.
The dream bigger one.
Do what
and
you want to do,
anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. So, the cool part about Azerbaijan was that it kind of was like a repeat. Not cool. It was a repeat of Monaco. We red flagged the session and it stopped. So again, people got screwed.
The session was red flagged a few times.
I'm sorry, the session was red flagged and not resumed. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
When everyone puts it in the wall, I think it is.
In Q1, it was red flagged.
It was red flagged.
I think
twice.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was red flagged once in P1, once in P2, and then Q2, and then once in Q3,
yeah.
and then it ended the complete session. So the people that were ultimately very ticked off about that, I mean, everybody, Verstappen gave the funniest post-interview.
Oh my God, that was so jokes. And they're like...
Apologies for...
No, what did he say? He was like, it was kind of just bullshit. And the guy's like, the guy just asked him, he's like, it was pretty shit today. And I didn't like it, P3. We got the other guy who says P3. So, and the guy's like, so we apologize for the language. It goes back. It was so funny. Yeah, he was just stone-faced. He's like, whatever, dude.
I really think that you should be able to say that.
I mean, I think it's just it's their broadcast standards, right? It's not like they can say,
you can't say the S word?
Yeah, you're not allowed to swear, period. I mean, I don't think you catch fines and stuff. I don't think it's like that, but you get warned about doing it and not doing it and whatnot. I really just feel like if people, if you restrict what drivers can say, they're just going to be like, yeah, it was good, thanks.
Yeah, bye.
I'll give my color commentary elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly. To people who want to hear it. And it was so refreshing to hear him because he was just he's usually this is where we could have done better. This is where we struggled. We knew that this was going to happen. He was like, it was shit.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that because he did get shafted because again, he was entering his flying lap. There was, I think, another minute and 43 left in Quali, which meant that technically you could have finished your flying lap, done an out lap, and restarted. You could have.
Can you do Azerbaijan and is it a sub?
It's 1 minute 41.
Yeah, it's
he was probably finishing.
He wouldn't. I mean, you would have.
He was probably finishing his flying lap though, love.
Yeah, that's so tricky though.
Or he was on an out lap ready to start. You just have to cross the line.
That's cutting it so close.
You have to cross the line before they're waving the checkered flag. So even at 0, you could be on your flying lap.
Yeah.
So I'm yelling. I need.
Yeah, you're freaking out, dude. Reel it in, man. Stop yelling at your boy.
Sorry.
I
really love you.
Jeez. Hey, are you passionate about F1 or no?
I get so excited to talk about this. We do a mic check at the beginning of our
I gotta
podcast,
turn it down because Bria screams at the
Cam's
goddamn
is this how loud you're gonna talk? Because I talk very softly at the beginning. But then I get worked up and I notice it in the podcast that I start yelling and screaming at him, which is
it's good
not
though,
nice.
Man.
But no, I think that Max got incredibly shafted. Vettel lost out by 0.3 or 0.03 of a second.
How'd he quali? I don't know.
He got P11.
Vettel was...
Wasn't it 11? Yeah, he got 11, love.
Yeah, he did.
He got out qualified by
He was knocked out in
A
Q2.
tenth. No, a tenth of a second.
10th, yeah. 10th, it's 10th, 100,000th. Yeah, so he was knocked out by 10th. That's
It
I
was
mean, but look at
awful.
like Alonso and Bottas was like 900ths.
Nobody cares about them.
You know.
Alonso also lost his crap, but I think it was actually a very real
Leclerc and
rant.
Hamilton was 300ths.
I know.
That was so
Everybody
close.
within the top 5 was within like a
in Q2
fifth.
anyway.
Yeah. Like it does stink though, because it does bring up the question, like when you red flag a session that's not to be resumed when it's Q3, that already sets stipulations forward. But on a street race, and I know I keep saying that, it's so crucial and critical. It really does like lock you into which gaps you're going to be in, which blocks you're going to be in, unless there's a safety car, an accident, putting it in the wall, something. You know, it locks you into a very small position change that you can realistically make. So if you red flag a session, because, and what Alonso talked about, if you put it in the wall, then you retain that place. So for example, Ricardo's in P13.
Yeah, you can't do any better. They won't let you get out and do it, obviously.
They won't, but then the team is able to work on that car.
Yeah.
So everyone else is in part ferme, which means they can't touch the car, they can't work on that car.
Yeah.
So you could make very real changes. And I know that there are certain grid position penalties if you change the gearbox X, Y, and Z. But if you've had an accident, the variance for how much you can do to the car is greater than any other time. So you could be working up on the car up until the race begins, or whatever that cutoff is. So he brought up an interesting point about how that screws people over.
Yeah.
You know, they get to work on the car even in places potentially where the car wasn't damaged. I don't know how that works. We should look into that, because I think there has to be an F1 representative, like mechanic, present while they're doing the work. Isn't that correct?
I don't know how it works, but yeah, if you touch certain things, then it's like a violation. Like and then you get like grid penalties for stuff like that, right? Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know how it works in F1. Maybe they if a car is damaged, maybe somebody like comes in and says, what's damaged on the car? What are you working on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know? That's true.
And, you know, they work on whatever it is that is, but, you know, I don't know exactly how it works, but it's weird.
It is. It was just an interesting point, I think people are getting frustrated because this is the second time in the last 2 races that it's been red flagged without resumption. So it does really hinder people like Ocon and Vettel, and, you know, I'm not even going to put Bottas in that same example. But regardless, the lockout for the race tomorrow.
Predictions.
All right.
Let's go.
Give me a second. Do you have your predictions?
5. Yeah, I mean, I might just wing it.
I am going to say Verstappen, Leclerc, Hamilton, Gasly, Sainz.
Interesting. I'm going to say Leclerc, Verstappen, Hamilton, Sainz, Norris.
You are wrong. Norris is starting P9, love. You're forgetting about that.
Sorry. I'm looking at it here. So I said Leclerc, Verstappen, Hamilton, Sainz, Perez.
You think Gasly's going to not make it?
I don't think Gasly is going to pull it off. We'll see, though. I'd like to see him, but
I think he's going to do well. I don't think he's going to put it in the wall. I hope he doesn't put it in the wall.
I could say Leclerc, Verstappen, Hamilton, Sainz, and then either Gasly or Perez. I don't know which one.
Okay.
That's my prediction.
I'm really excited to see where Tsunoda lands in all of this. If he can be tenacious enough to not put it in the wall, he could end up with points.
Yeah. Which
would be amazing to see. And I really want to see what Bottas does in 10th. Yeah. I don't think he's going to be able to do very much because I don't think that Mercedes operates well in... Unpopular opinion, I think Mercedes pulled it out of their butt today to get Lewis up there. They were just shocked.
I think they got a little bit of luck.
They got a ton of luck.
Yeah.
And I think Bottas got shafted. Interesting thing of Quali, though, is that Latifi was for a while doing better than Russell. That was really nice to see.
Yeah.
He's
For
definitely...
a little bit, but then
yeah.
Russell came back.
Yeah, Russell did come back. He's
Yeah.
the comeback king. But
Yeah.
it was really nice to see. It's nice to see Russell also, if you're thinking about consistency and you're talking about Lando Norris, you're talking about Sainz, you're talking about Perez, Verstappen, you have to remember that this is just as much a grid of 20 as it is of 10. So Latifi and Russell, more than anything, becoming consistent in making it to Q2, that's huge because that means he's pushing through those bottom drivers. Granted, to make it in there, it's not difficult because there were 2 drivers who DNF'd and then 2 drivers who put it in the wall, or 1 or 2 drivers. I'm excited to see what the Haas does tomorrow because they're both inexperienced.
I think they're going to do Haas things.
I think they're going to pull some really...
Do the huge, stay
put
in
it
the bottom.
In the walls. No, I don't think that they're going to do well.
Oh, Mazepin's not going to make it out of turn 1.
You really think so? He did in Monaco.
I'm just kidding. But
I don't like
we'll
him,
see.
but
I think there will definitely be safety cars tomorrow.
Yeah.
With the turns, in Azerbaijan, there's definitely going to be safety cars.
And you have to remember, this was talked about this morning. I don't know if you were listening to that, but they made a rule about where, this was just in Quali, where you could start, which basically caused traffic backwards. It was I think it was
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were talking about that.
I don't know what track limits are like here. I don't know if they're even a question here of what track limits are like because it is a street course and there's really not very much area. Maybe that makes it more
I think it was more so in Quali where you can and cannot slow down.
Yeah.
That's what they were talking about.
But I think that turn 15 is where people are having issues. And I'm interested to see what happens there because if you can make it past that turn consistently.
The thing is a lot of people lock up there, and if you can't handle that properly or you don't go on to the runoff, you're going into the wall.
Yeah.
You have to make sure you're not locking up there.
Practice was pretty funny, and Sainz was the other one who put it in the wall. Right? But he put it in the wall, and then...
Did he?
He did. He went off. Didn't you see it? He went off this way because he saw... Ricardo,
yeah,
right?
He went to the runoff thing, right?
He went into the runoff, but didn't he hit something?
I don't know. I can't remember.
I think he hit something because his car went like this, and then he saw the accident here.
Yeah.
So that was the other driver that had a poor outcome during the race. I know that there was definitely damage to his car, and he went into the runoff area. And it was funny because I don't know if you saw Norris and Bottas did the same thing during practice 1.
Did they?
Bottas went this way, he went off into the runoff area, and so did Bottas. Or Bottas went first, and then Norris went.
Yeah.
And there was a funny meme. It's you're not supposed to be here, and the other one's you're not supposed to be here either. But he had to make this quick flip of the car and then go straight.
Yeah.
And that was actually the area where Ricardo ended up crashing.
Yeah.
So there's all these areas where if you're following the wrong person, you can mess it up. So.
But I'm curious to see what happens tomorrow. Should be a good race.
Should be an amazing race.
Should we wrap this up?
Yeah. Anything else to add?
That's it.
Taco time.
Taco time.
Taco time.
So make sure you guys appreciate everyone who watches. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on the Spotify channel. And we will catch you on the next podcast.
Which we will now be doing very quickly after the race.
Yes.
Thanks everyone for watching.
Thanks
all
for watching.
3 people. Bye.
Bye.